What's going on, everybody? Eddie Dowd back again with Brian Sachs. I'm a real estate agent. He's a mortgage lender, and we come to you every single week with another tip, another piece of information when it comes to real estate. That may be for buying, that may be for selling, that may be for holding on to property and how to create generational wealth. But today, I was struck today with a question by someone and a little bit of confusion that us being me and Brian being in the real estate industry, we're used to these things and sometimes we don't realize what isn't common knowledge to other people. And what that was I was talking to somebody and they were talking about selling their house. And obviously, when you go to sell your house, anybody that knows that sold a house, and if you don't know, that's okay as well. There's a title process. We get a property under contract, we send it to a title company. They're going to order with the county, the city, the state. They're going to order their the lien certificates and make sure that there's nothing held against the property, so that way we can transfer free and clear title. But somebody didn't understand that, and their hang up was, well, I don't know if I want to wait that long. I don't know if I don't know if I want to do this process. And I had to scratch my head. I was like, what process? Because this actual offer that we had for the property was a cash offer, and it's one of the fastest ways to sell a property. And they're saying, "Oh, I don't want to do the process." And I had to look at my notes on this property and say, "Well, do I have something wrong with it?" No, it was a cash offer, and they were referring to it being 30 to 45 day, depending on how fast the city, in this case, can get back the lien cert. Sometimes faster, sometimes a little bit longer, depending on what's going on in those offices. But they were a little confused about that, so I had to educate them on that. But made me think, how many people are viewing this that don't understand what goes on in between the time that you look at the home, put the home under contract, and then send it to a title company and that closing date? I know that 30, 45 days, however many days it is in your case, it seems like the longest time in the world, especially if it's a house you're moved into, your first home or your dream home. You're thinking about it. What's going on in that time period, and why is it so important to make sure that you don't have liens against your property? And Brian, you've been in real estate a lot longer than me, obviously. So you may have some horror stories. All the deals that I've done so far, and I've been around, have gone pretty well. But I'm sure you've probably seen some things and heard some things in your day, especially if people aren't getting title insurance. I have had one person that bought a property, not with me, but that knew me, didn't use me, and didn't get title insurance, and they had something happen. Somebody came back on them, and I was like, well, I wish you would have worked with me. I would have instructed you to, you should probably get title insurance, but that wasn't the case. So Brian, what have you seen? And then let's talk about why it's important, the title process, title insurance, the whole nine.
So let's talk about what a title company even is. Most title companies, or many title companies, actually are affiliated with a law firm. So you do sometimes get a lawyer along with a title company. But what generally happens is the title company is going to go to the courthouse and they are going to research the chain of title going back many, many years. Person A owned it, sold it to person B sold it to person C sold it to person D. They want to make sure that, for example, if there was a divorce, that one spouse, both spouses agreed to that chain of title. If there was a death and the property was in an estate, did it transfer correctly? So they're looking at the title and researching the title. They're researching to see if there are any loans against the property or liens against the property. If you didn't pay a tax bill or a water bill, or the guy who fixed your roof, well, they could put liens against your property. If you live in a condominium or a homeowners association, they could put liens against your property. There were many people not long ago that had ground rents on their homes, and for like $98, they would foreclose on the property. So the state did make some changes there. So the title company is going to do that research. They're also going to see if there are any encroachments on the property. Your neighbor's shed is on your lawn. Your fence is on someone else's lawn. They're going to do all of that research for you, and then they're going to issue title insurance. There's two types of title insurance. There's title insurance if you're getting a mortgage that a lender requires you to have. And then there's owner's title insurance, which protects you and is optional. So let's play out a scenario. Eddie sells me a house. 200 years ago, belonged to an Indian tribe, and one of the ancestors of the Indian tribe comes back and says, actually, this is my land, and here's my title, and here's my deed, and you need to leave. Or 3 sales ago, it was a husband and wife, and the husband forged the wife's signature on the title. There are all sorts of scenarios that you need to be protected against. The truth is, maybe 1 in a million. But if you're the 1 in that million, it can destroy you financially. So a lot of times we see mortgages that were on the property that actually were paid off but weren't released properly. And there's a little bit more digging that has to go on. So that's what a title company does. They'll also conduct a settlement. They will give the seller the proceeds. They will collect as a neutral third party. They'll collect your money and disperse it. They'll pay the commissions. They'll, pay the seller the amount that they are expecting, less expenses. So they'll also then record your deed. They'll do all of the recordings that are necessary, deed of trust, anything else that needs to happen. So that's what a title company does. The beauty is that I know, Eddie, you work with a number of really good title companies that you've had years and years of experience with, so you can make some recommendations to. But yeah, that's pretty much what a title company does. And that's what title insurance is. I mean, we could talk about this for hours, honestly. But if you have questions, leave them below. We're certainly always happy to answer them.
Yeah.
I will tell you, we've seen all kind of stuff, all kind of crazy things over the years, but it's really for your protection. And Eddie can make some recommendations to you with a title company and make the whole process very seamless. That big day when you come to the title office and you get the keys, that's also the title company. They're not going to give you the keys. Your real estate agent, Eddie, will. But that's sort of the process in a nutshell. They're making sure that the owners are the legitimate owners and can transfer the title free and clear of any liens so that you own it, without any problems. So I think that's a long-winded answering it.
Yeah, a long-winded answer. And then, I mean, what types of things have you seen? A quick story. You got any?
I mean, I have dozens of them. I've actually seen the title company not record anything and go to jail. And thank
Yeah.
God the people had title insurance to protect them.
Mhm.
So, look, again, as I said, title insurance, if you're getting a mortgage, you have lender's title insurance. You have no choice. We require you to get it.
Yeah.
Owners is optional, and it's like any other insurance. It's like car insurance. Hopefully, you'll never be in an accident, but if you are and you don't have insurance, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and that was the case of the house that I talked about in the beginning. They didn't buy with me, but they were making a cash transaction, went with somebody else, or went. I don't even know if they had an agent represent them at all. But they came back to me and said, "Hey, I bought this property and didn't have." They're coming after me for a lien that was recorded against the property. They didn't have any title insurance. They didn't buy the owner's title insurance. There wasn't a mortgage on it, so there wasn't a third party to say, "Hey, you need title insurance
Those
on this."
legal bills can kill you. I mean, even if you're right and there's nothing you did wrong, but if you didn't get that insurance, it'll destroy you financially.
Yeah, and I mean,
So
all the reason to make sure that you have good representation. There's a lot of stuff now to where people maybe will be going unrepresented from a realtor altogether. There's some talks of that. Some of the stuff that we talked about with the NAR settlement.
that's just foolish.
Want to make sure that you have good
You
representation.
know what that's like? If you're going to go buy a house without having a buyer representative agent looking out for your interests. It's like watching a YouTube video and doing brain surgery on yourself. It
And
makes no
exactly.
sense. You know, that makes absolutely no sense. You're at a complete disadvantage because the seller is being represented, but we'll talk about that another time. So how do
Yeah,
they reach you, Eddie?
they reached me at 410-588-6536, but that's just that is an idea for a future episode, or just to put in your head, as these things change, maybe here in the future, you want to make sure you have somebody representing your best interest. This person that I was talking about didn't, and they ended up buying a property cash and had a lien against it, and come back to me afterwards as if I was going to be able to do something. I'm like, sorry, I wish you would have. If you would have came to me before, I would have been able to help you out in that way and tell you probably get yourself some title insurance.
Yep.
But 410-588-6536. Remember, the home funded link is always right below. That works as the GoFundMe. You can put money in there. Your family, your friends, anybody can put money in there. It'll go towards the purchase of your home. And CMG will give you, CMG, Brian's company, and I'm a part of this as well. If I'm the other realtor, give you $2,000 towards the purchase. Brian, how can they reach you?
443-471-8557. And I thank you. If you have any questions, leave it below. Eddie and I read all the comments and all the questions, and we'll answer them and cover them in a future episode. Thank you all very much.
All right, awesome. See you guys next week.